Welcome inside the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. Dan Hope joined by Andy Anders, where the countdown to the game is officially on. We're just over 1 week away from Ohio State, Michigan, but Ryan Day and Jim Knowles not really want to talk about Michigan today. Several questions, kind of looking ahead to it, but they want to keep their focus on the task at hand, which is winning the final home game of the year against Minnesota.
Right, and I think that's fair. You want to focus on getting better every week, and that's always been something that Ryan Day has been adamant about, just focusing on the present moment. Where can they get better this week in preparation for Minnesota, and then worry about Michigan, I'm sure, once the final whistle blows against the Golden Gophers.
I think you can say that mission was accomplished last week against Michigan State, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. The defense has been great all year, but the offense coming out with a really fast start, 5 touchdowns on 6 first-half possessions. I think we both agree it was Kyle McCord's best game that we've seen from him so far. And, of course, Marvin Harrison Jr., 3 touchdowns on Ohio State's first 3 drives of the game. The Heisman campaign is in full swing here at Ohio State, and Ryan Day said today he thinks Marvin Harrison Jr. is the most outstanding player in the country.
Right, and that's what he said he feels the award is for. Marvin certainly showed it on Saturday with those 3 touchdowns, got his first career rushing score. And the open campaigning from Day for Marvin to win the Heisman continues, even if Marvin's not going to put it out there. He's saying his focus remains on big games last week, or winning games last week. But, Ryan is going to continue to make a case for his guy to win the Heisman Trophy, and why not? I mean, Marvin is clearly among the best players in college football right now.
And I think a lot of it is going to come down to how he performs in those big games, particularly that Michigan game. Can he have a big performance against the Wolverines that leads Ohio State to a win? If he can do that, I think he will have a chance to win the Heisman, but we'll see how that all unfolds over the next couple of weeks. Another area where I think Ohio State is getting better is the offensive line. It's been, probably the biggest weakness for Ohio State this season, but I think we've seen some growth there, and Ryan Day seemed encouraged by what he's seen from that group over the last couple of weeks.
Right, talked about some specific pieces. One he was really lauding today was Josh Simmons there at left tackle. Talked about how there's been some unbelievable clips. That was a quote from him. Just his feet, his physicality, his hands, the push he can get off the line on certain plays. Now, there's still consistency things to grow on for Josh always, but especially at that left tackle spot, I think Ohio State has seen a lot of improvement from him. And then at center, you talk about Carson Hinsman. They fielded a question today that Carson might be a step behind the other guys, and while he didn't dispel that notion, he said that Carson, being the youngest player on the offensive line, has taken perhaps the biggest jump from where he started to where he is now, and he's really confident in the future of him at center. Also feels Donovan Jackson has kind of really come into form as the year has progressed. So a lot of individual pieces that Day feels have gotten better as the year has progressed here on the offensive line.
And we did see Ohio State give Matt Jones a look at center late in the game against Michigan State, so I don't necessarily think any change is imminent there, but it was interesting to see them take a look at that lineup there with Matt Jones at center, Enoch Vamahi at right guard, giving them another option if by chance they feel they need to make a change here late in the season. Did get some injury updates on Tuesday as well. Ryan Day confirming that Lathan Ransom will be out for at least the next couple of weeks, and so he won't play again in the regular season. Maybe a bowl game, maybe Lathan comes back, but Ohio State going to have to continue to go forward without him the next couple of weeks. We've talked about it before. Not something that I think is a devastating blow for this defense just because of how well Sonny Styles is playing there at that strong safety spot. Though Jim Knowles did say on Tuesday that Sonny's going to still have to continue to move around and play some different roles. So we could see Jihad Carter or Malik Hartford get some snaps there at that strong safety spot as well once Josh Proctor's back in the lineup.
Right, and you've built all this depth now on the back end. That's something else that Knowles and Day talked about today, is just the way that it was a focus for both Perry Eliano and Tim Walton in that secondary to have more pieces ready to go in case of these kinds of injuries after how last year unfolded. And I think you've seen that now with Malik Hartford doing what he's done, with Sonny Styles able to fill in, moving back deep after being at nickel all year. Another guy that we have heard, is not, I guess maybe pencil him in the maybe this week. They're expecting to get Tommy Eichenberg back to practice, but in his absence, if he's out, expect Cody Simon to take all his responsibility on at the mic. And Jim Knowles said today that he feels Cody is on the same level as Tommy with his football intelligence and his ability to sort of captain and quarterback the defense and get everyone lined up where they need to be.
Yeah, I thought Cody Simon played well against Michigan State, so feels like they're okay there. Certainly want to have Tommy back for that Michigan game, but I think they're going to continue to play it cautious this week with guys like Tommy, Josh Proctor. If they're fully ready to go, they'll play, but if they feel like they need to hold them back for one more week, they'll do what they need to do there. Mike Hall, another guy who could potentially be in that group. Ryan Day did not have an update on Mike Hall today, but Mike Hall only played 2 series against Michigan State before leaving the game, so we'll see how that ultimately unfolds here this week. But Ty Hamilton, I think, is a guy who's played well here the last couple weeks, and then Hero Canoe as well is a guy that Jim Knowles specifically mentioned when asked about guys who could step up behind Tyleek and Ty Hamilton. Hero Canoe, we've seen him gradually get more and more playing time here the last few weeks. Seems like he's a guy that they now have confidence in to play as much as needed.
Right, and I think as the team gets more healthy too, another player you're looking to get more towards 100% is Emeka Ibuka. We didn't necessarily see him look his healthiest in that Michigan State game, and I think that's something that Day echoed a little bit today, but he feels confident that Emeka's going to get some of that explosion back, some of that cutting ability back as the weeks progress here. He feels he's in a better spot now than he was.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Press Coverage. Stay tuned with 11 Warriors for full coverage of Ohio State football as we progress toward Ohio State's final home game of the season, Senior Day in the Shoe on Saturday at 4 p.m.